Barclays Women's Super League is back with a thrilling first weekend, continuing on after football at the Emirates Stadium for a mouth-watering London derby as Arsenal meet Chelsea. The Gunners have been busy in the transfer market with some eye-catching signings. All right, we're going at that stuff. Yeah, sure, yeah. Right, scores. Manchester United kicking off the new season with a 2-0 win against Reading. Leicester took the lead against Aston Villa in their WSL debut, but eventually lost 2-1. And Manchester City were very impressive with a 4-0 victory at Goodison Park.
Debut for Manchester City. The European champion opens Manchester City's account.
Arsenal, a team with a number of new signings. And I'll bring you Lucy.
And still Janine Becky, space open.
Still hear Phil Blacker in my ears.
The Olympic champion scorer on opening day. The European champ.
We'll talk about Miedemar and then we go to the graphics. Arsenal under new management with Jonas Eidevall replacing Joe Montemuro, and they were third place last season, clinching a potential Champions League place behind Chelsea and Manchester City. Vivianne Miedemar once again was their top goal scorer with 10 in the WSL, and they have won 15 titles but only one in the previous decade. And Chelsea were a team which came so close to clinching a double last season, losing out to Barcelona in the UEFA Women's Champions League. It's been a very quiet summer in the transfer market. I'll bring in Lucy at this point to ask her about that as well.
Perfect free kick.
Are we getting Man City again? And Pernilla Harder is a player who really shone. Seemed to be the final piece in the jigsaw for Chelsea until they met Barcelona in the Champions League final, but she still came up with 9 goals in 22 games last season, and she'll be looking to win yet another title this year. Emma Hayes is a coach who is highly regarded in the women's game. Of course, they were champions for the 4th time in 6 seasons last season. Sam Kerr, the Australian international, the top goal scorer, she was immense for them. And they were the runners-up in the Champions League to Barcelona, and they'll be looking to go one better this time. And this was Chelsea clinching the title in the final match of last season against Reading when they were under pressure to pick up the victory, and they did it very comfortably in the end. And over these goals, I will ask Lucy, what was the difference? Yeah. Okay, Lucy can talk about the qualities of Sam Kerr. Okay. we've got to pause at 25 past and also pause at 1/2 past.
Debut for Manchester City.
Yeah, this is Lucy on co-commentary. Should be speaking. Sorry for coughing in your ear. Just adjusting my own levels. Is that okay?
Ladies and gentlemen, please show your appreciation for last season's MasterCard Player of the Year, Katie McKay. Take a look at the big screen for the away team lineup this afternoon. Goalkeeper Anne-Catherine Berger. Number 4, Billy Bright. Number 7, Jess Carter. Number 8, Melanie Lugo. Number 9, Beth England. Number 10, Houston Ross. 11, Drew Corrigan. 16, Nebula Erickson. 21, Lou Charles. 22, Erin Cuthbert. And 23, Sonia Harder. On the Chelsea bench this afternoon, goalkeepers are Sarah Mitrovic, 3, Anya Nogan, 5, Sophie Ingle, 14, Frank Kirby, 17, Jessie Fleming, 20, Sam Kerr, 24, Ruth Trent, 25, Rhoda Anderson, and 29, Georgia Fox.
The FA Barclays Women's Super League is back, and a thrilling first weekend continues on Atta Football at the Emirates Stadium for a mouth-watering London derby as Arsenal meet Chelsea. The Gunners have been busy in the transfer market with some eye-catching signings. US star Tobin Heath was the latest to arrive on Friday, while Chelsea already have a formidable team which came close to a clean sweep last season. And the season got underway with Manchester United beating Reading 2-0 on Friday. Manchester City sent out a real statement of intent with a 4-0 success at Everton yesterday. Leicester beaten on their debut, and a win for Spurs against Birmingham.
Debut for Manchester.
And Arsenal are a side who qualified for the Champions League last season, coming from behind to pit Manchester United. And they have been very busy in the transfer window. Lucy Ward is alongside me for this game, and they've made some very smart signings.
Yeah, they have. I think they needed to ease the pressure on Viv Miedemar up front. They've brought in Iwabuchi, Japanese international. She links really well with Miedemar, having played with her previously at Bayern Munich. But I think just that helps. She's played every minute, and it puts a lot of pressure on her. But also Nikita Paris, massive signing for Arsenal.
And keeping Miedemar was a very smart move for Arsenal. And Arsenal under new management, their coach Jonas Ardeval replacing Joe Montemoro, and they finished third in the table last season behind Chelsea and Manchester City. Vivian Miedemar with 10 goals in the WSL, some very important ones on the road as well, and they have won the title 15 times. That's the record, but only once in the previous decade. Chelsea came so close to a treble last season, but Barcelona denied them in the Champions League final, and basically they have said same again.
Yeah, I think Emma Hayes is quite happy with the depth of her squad. She's only made a couple of signings, but I think that says everything about the quality they've got, particularly in midfield and in the forward areas.
And they are a team who have quality in all positions. Pernilla Harder, of course, was seen as the final piece in the jigsaw last season. Not quite, of course, when they were beaten 4-0 in the Champions League final by a dominant Barcelona team, but she will have a big role to play in the current campaign. Chelsea, coached by Emma Hayes, who is very well regarded in the women's game and beyond. Champions last season for the 4th time in 6 seasons. Sam Kerr was their top scorer, the Australian international. And runners-up in the Champions League so close to a clean sweep of trophies. And they went into their final game last season against Reading, needing a victory to secure the title. And they were a very dominant side. And what were the main reasons they finished above Manchester City last season?
Well, obviously the goals that they've scored, Nigel, but I do think that Fran Kirby was the difference, because she's quite selfless in the way that she plays, not really typical of a forward. It's not all about her scoring. She assists as much and creates as much as she scores, and I think her performance and her returning back from injury to form, I think, was the difference between them and Manchester City last season.
And Fran Kirby not involved from the start today, but her return from illness was a stunning one during the previous campaign, and in so many key games towards the end of the season, they just found a way to win. Sam Kerr, of course, such a reliable goal scorer in attack, and she's coming back from a long campaign at the Olympics, along with a number of Chelsea players. They have a star-studded international side. Erin Cuthbert, one of the players who has been brought back in today, and they will be looking to lift the trophy once again this season. And it's good to see fans of both clubs mixing around the Emirates Stadium here today. There were similar scenes at Goodison Park yesterday when Everton played Manchester City. And London has come out in force to watch this game here today. And in the opening weekend of the WSL season, we have a London derby to savour here. Arsenal, the club who set the standards for women's football over so many years, facing Chelsea, the team who have taken their mantle, and they are a side who have been dominant in this competition over so many years now. Arsenal, though, have just begun to close the gap once again, and this should be a fascinating match between two sides looking to make a winning start, and knowing there is very little room for error in such a congested Women's Super League season. And Lucy Ward is alongside me, and really, if anyone loses this game today, they will see it as a massive blow in the title race, because it is that tight at the top. Yeah, today and the whole of September, really, we'll probably have a good idea of which way the title's going to go at the end of September. But with the other clubs coming through, you know, the likes of Everton, we had big hopes for Everton, and they got beaten yesterday convincingly by Manchester City. But neither of these teams will want to lose this game today. And there are so many familiar faces on the Chelsea bench, just showing their strength. Arsenal have brought in a number of big-name players, and we will see them featuring here today. And they are a team who've already had plenty of competitive action as they look to qualify for the revamped UEFA Women's Champions League. Chelsea already through to the group stage as the champions last season, so this their first opportunity to really get some competitive football in their legs. And the Emirates Stadium is a great venue for such a big game to kick off the campaign. Chelsea are the team to beat in the Women's Super League once again this season. And Arsenal are a side with the first opportunity to lower their colours. And they will have renewed confidence after the way they finished last season and the business they've been able to do during the transfer window. Scoring goals has never been a problem for them. And they may believe they also have the missing ingredient now to take them further. Arsenal include new signings, Frida Manum and Mana Iwabuchi from the start, with Nikita Paris on the bench following a goal in the Champions League in midweek. This game comes too soon for Tobin Heath following her return to the WSL. And the retention of Vivianne Miedemar could be the Gunners' most significant piece of business. She scored 24 goals last season. Jordan Nobbs remains on the injured list. Chelsea don't include either of their new signings from the start. Annette Neuven is on the bench. Lauren James not involved at all. Sam Kerr, Fran Kirby and Sophie Ingle are also left out of the team that's lost to Barcelona in the UEFA Women's Champions League final following their exertions in the Olympics. Ji So-yun, Erin Cuthbert and Pernilla Harder offer plenty of star quality. And with Paris, Kirby, Kerr and Fleming on the benches, the depth of both squads is clear to see. And perfect weather for this start to the WSL season. And we've already seen the two Manchester clubs make winning starts. Manchester City, very impressive yesterday with their demolition of Everton at Goodison Park. And now we will get the first real look at the potential title challengers from the south in this London derby. Arsenal dominated the start of the professional era in women's football, but Chelsea quickly overcame them. The players like Kim Little have so much experience to bring to this Arsenal team, and she will still believe there is a title in her legs between now and the end of her career. And Magdalena Eriksson, the Swedish international, another player who has given so much to Chelsea and won so much in recent years. And Beth England, a player who wasn't quite able to replicate her goal scoring in previous seasons during the previous campaign, but she was still an important part of Chelsea's title-winning side. And this a team with winning in their DNA, looking to make a winning start here today. It is the opening weekend of the FA Barclays Women's Super League season. And wherever you are watching across the United States and around the world, welcome to the Emirates Stadium. A mouth-watering game to kick off the Women's Super League season. A London derby between Arsenal and Chelsea, and it's the champions Chelsea in all blue defending the goal away to our left-hand side in the first half. And these two clubs are used to the more intimate confines of their home stadiums, but on show here at the Emirates Stadium today is Erin Cuthbert with an early ball into the penalty area for Chelsea. Arsenal will clear, but it's quickly returned in by Charles. And the champions on the attack right from the start here. Ji, the South Korean international, and it's worked wide towards Wrighton, and the early cross is deflected, and Williamson is able to clear, and there's the first chance for Beth Mead to try and get Arsenal moving. Lucy Ward is alongside me, and with so much business done by Arsenal, it's going to be fascinating to see how they match up against the Chelsea side, which is very similar to what we saw last season. Yeah,
it's a great test for Arsenal. You know, they've signed some good players, but I think they've had 3 Champions League games, so I think in terms of physically, they're probably more ready for the start of the season than Chelsea are. But you could just see in the opening minute there, the first thought for Chelsea when they get the ball is get the ball forward, get bodies forward, and, you know, already seen Cuthbert down that right-hand side, and that'll be a sign of things to come in this game.
Arsenal signing Tobin Heath, the US star, on Friday, but not in time for her to make her debut in this game. But the Japanese international Mana Iwabuchi and the Norwegian Frida Manum both starting this game, and Nikita Paris is on the bench, a player who has won titles wherever she's been, with Manchester City and Lyon. And she's been involved in the Champions League game, scored on Wednesday against Slavia Prague, and maybe it's a slight surprise she's not involved from the start here today. Yeah, probably. I do think, though, Nigel, that Arsenal are trying to take the pressure from Miedema. Miedema plays a lot of minutes last season, a lot of pressure on her to score all the goals. Then signing Iwabuchi and signing Nikita Paris is just to allow her to not be under pressure all the time to score the goals. We know she's capable of it, but, you know, to play every single minute in the Champions League and the WSL. Well, Carter has been penalised, so it's a free kick for Arsenal. All the drama came very late in the game here last season, when Beth Mead gave Arsenal the lead in the 87th minute, but an own goal in added time from Lottie Mubenwoy gifted Chelsea a point, and it was very rare that they did drop points last season, particularly away from home. But Arsenal here with the early chance to apply some pressure. Uwabuchi makes the run to the left, but it's flighted in, and Carter, who gave away the free kick, is able to hook clear. Now Beattie, back to Volti, and it's that long diagonal ball again, but it skips away from Uwabuchi, and that will be a goal kick.
And Uwabuchi is playing on the left. Usually she would play in that midfield three, but I would suggest that she's got a license to roam and link up, as she knows she can do with Miedema in that 9 position.
And she did have experience, Uwabuchi, in the Women's Super League with Aston Villa last season, a team looking to make their way at this level, but she still produced some decent performances. And you can see at the bottom of your picture Jonas Eidevall, the new coach of Chelsea, of Arsenal rather, replacing Joe Montemiro. He had great success in Sweden with Rosengard. He's only 38 years of age, so he'll bring plenty of youth and energy to the technical areas as well.
Yeah, the noise coming out of Arsenal is that he's high intensity, you know, he's wears his heart on his sleeve, and he's quite passionate, and he shows that passion, and I think the girls seem to be enjoying the training under him, but obviously the proof will be in the performances and where they end up in the WSL this season.
McCabe will take the throw in. Gets one back by Erin Cuthbert. Uwabuchi with the challenge, but Carter is there to ensure that Miedema's unable to make tracks towards the Chelsea goal. Now Wrighton. Chelsea, the champions 4 times in the previous 6 years, and they have not lost away from home in the WSL for approaching 5 years. The only blemish on their record last season was a real surprise, arguably the surprise of the WSL season, when they lost at home to Hope Powell's Brighton. A new look for Ji So-young this year. And she is somebody who has really lived through this golden era for Chelsea, one of the longest serving players. And the older she gets, the better she seems to get.
Yeah, she's been a bit one of their standout performers. She's consistent, G, the way that she plays. They work and rotate in the middle to get her on the ball a lot, Chelsea.
Here is Ji again. Quickly closed down by Uwabuchi. Charles back to Ji, who always seems to find space in confined areas. Cuthbert. Now Harder. Ji again, finding Harder, who just for a second was in behind Manum, but on her debut, Frida Manum did really well with her first really difficult one-to-one.
Yeah, the way that Manum's positioned herself at the start of this game, covering for when Katie McCabe goes forward, but great tracking of the runner there. Just see her just lean into Pernille Harder there, just to ensure that she didn't get on the end of that through ball. It's terrific defending, a new Arsenal player.
Pernille Harder arrived at Chelsea after a prolific spell at Wolfsburg in terms of both goals and trophies, but she scored only 9 times last season in this competition, and there is so much competition for places in Chelsea's attack. At times she was deployed in roles that maybe she's not entirely familiar with.
Yeah, and also probably the system probably doesn't get the best out of her, but it obviously gets the best out of Kerr and Kirby. So You know, when you've got that many good players within the side, sometimes some of the good players will suffer, but she's always involved in everything that Chelsea do going forwards and relied on in front of goal as well, and she'll be looking to increase her goal tally this season.
Arsenal looking to attack now with Mead, another player who has reinvented herself during her career. A young striker has become a very proficient wide player. Williamson. Now Volti. Maritz. And the free kick given for the challenge on Mead. Right in the player who was penalised.
Just figuring out the Chelsea formation. It looks like Wrighton's playing the left of a midfield four and they're playing three at the back, but she's not particularly used to any defensive actions and gives the free kick away. Quite a dangerous area really for Arsenal.
Katie McCabe, the Irish international, is over it. And the home crowd find their voices. It's left for Mead. And the goalkeeper comes and doesn't really get there, Ann-Katrin Berger. And did she get a touch? Well, the goal kick has been given, and that was a rather uncomfortable moment for the German.
Yeah, she saw the opportunity to come out, and she just must have misjudged the flight of the ball, but that was really fortunate as far as Chelsea are concerned that Jem Beattie didn't gamble. You see there at the edge, Williamson went for it, but if Jem Beattie had have gambled at the far post, she could have got on the end of it. Misjudged there by Berger, which is not like her, Nigel.
She was the Golden Glove winner last season with 12 clean sheets. Chelsea looking to play out from the back, have played themselves under pressure. Miedemar wriggles away from Cuthbert. Now McCabe, the early cross, and Berger is there to gather.
Kitty McCabe is so forward thinking when she plays in that left back role. She's noticed how Chelsea have set up with the three centre backs and knows that the space is just behind Niamh Charles on this right hand side.
Now G finding Charles again, who was used as a left back in the first half of the Champions League final against Barcelona and was cruelly exposed at times as the Spanish side racked up the goals. G, now England, and G concedes the free kick for the nudge on Marnham.
To be fair to Niamh Charles, 21 for Chelsea, she's a forward player that had been playing in the Championship, the league below this league, so you know, to come in and play at left back is a pretty difficult proposition, particularly against the quality that Barcelona have, but she will have learnt from that experience, I'm sure.
Zinsberger looking to play out once again, but Chelsea pressing very high, and that's been such an effective weapon for them, particularly in the WSL, to just compress that space for teams who look to try and attack them. Iwabuchi, that's an excellent ball. Now McCabe with the early pass, seeking out Mead, and she's offside, but the ball just drifting beyond her.
Oh, brilliant again from Katie McCabe. This time she sees the space that she's got on the left back, just watch her run inside, underlaps, and it's a clever little ball from Iwabuchi. She saw the run of Beth Mead, but she was offside, wasn't she? Probably could have held the run back and still been through on goal. That just shows that the pace that Arsenal have got, the manager is happy with that, and that sort of movement, getting the ball up the pitch and as little passes as possible.
Iwabuchi, one of the newcomers into this Arsenal team. Of course, they have lost some very significant players. Jill Roord's goals from midfield will need to be replaced, and Danielle van der Donk is somebody who was often an unsung hero for Arsenal, but they'll miss her now she's gone.
Yeah, and big personalities as well, Nigel. No, experienced players, difficult to fill their boots, but obviously Arsenal will feel that they've recruited well and kept the core of the players, the homegrown players as well.
Chelsea now have the free kick.
Remember to move the line with the fake one.
It could be an in-swinger here from Wrighton. There is the height of Harder, Bright and England all waiting for it. Bright makes the early move, and it's Cuthbert with the delivery and the header towards goal. It's comfortable for Zinsberger, and it was Eriksson in the end with the effort.
These set pieces will probably be a good way of getting that first goal for both of these teams. And look at the way that Chelsea is set up. A little bit of a tweak to how they usually play. It looks like a 3-4-3, so it allows them to get bodies forward in that attack, and we know that the quality of the players that they've got in that area of the pitch.
The Chelsea team is very similar to the one which played in the Champions League final. Here is Miedemar now, in behind Carter. Miedemar shot! And Vivianne Miedemar wastes very little time in showing her goal-scoring quality on her return to the Women's Super League.
Now we know everything about Vivianne Miedemar. We know that given any sort of opportunity where it opens up, and again, a lot of the players being down this left-hand side. It's a great run by Miedemar. In behind Jess Carter. She has to slow up, but she just sees that gap. And there's not many players in world football in a striking position that can see that sort of gap. She sends Berger completely the wrong way and puts it into a near post. That's a terrific finish through the legs of Carter, so it's difficult for Berger to see, but Miedemar starts as she finished last season.
Well, she nutmegged Jess Carter. And there is delight for the new coach. And if he celebrates every goal like that, he will be a very interesting addition to the WSL.
Apparently he does, Nigel, in pre-season and in the Champions League games he was throwing himself about on the sideline. So I think the girls appreciate that sort of passion. You know, he's got the similar sort of passion to what they have.
Joe Montemuro was a rather more reserved figure, but successful nonetheless. And Chelsea do not have to come from behind on too many occasions domestically. They did lose to Arsenal here 2-1 in a pre-season friendly, and now the free kick will be given for the challenge on Mead, and Chelsea just beginning to lose their composure. Rebecca Welch, the referee, will have at least a word with Eriksson. And you look at Berger's role in that goal. I know it was great play from Miedemar, but she stepped off that near post, and then the gap was there to apply the finish.
Yeah, she made the presumption that Miedemar was going to aim for the far post, and Miedemar must have given the eyes to the far post and put it in the near post. It's difficult for a goalkeeper, particularly when it goes through a defender's legs.
Miedemar once again. And that's a good ball back into the penalty area, little on the burst, and she was just taken further wide by that first touch, so as a result Berger's able to gather the pullback.
And they're managing to get bodies forward. Miedemar a really willing runner down that right hand side, but the quality, I did think that Kim Little was going to step over this because Iwabuchi was right behind her, but she took the touch and tried to get the ball across. Lots of quality and players who are quite willing to run beyond as well from midfield areas.
And Chelsea here have not really found their feet. They're a side who almost beat teams in the tunnel last season. Such was their stature and the way they carried themselves, but Arsenal here have maybe sensed one or two weaknesses and have exploited them so far.
Well, I talked about Chelsea starting with a different formation and different lineup, and that sometimes can take a bit of getting used to by the players, obviously the top quality players, but they haven't really had any competitive games yet in pre-season, just the friendly games, so it may take them a while to get into the rhythm, but I'm sure Arsenal will not, and they are not waiting for them.
That early goal for Arsenal sets up a fascinating game here. And both coaches were talking about the importance of a good start and not dropping points to a potential title rival, and because the Women's Super League has a relatively concertinaed schedule with only 22 games, if you do lose a match against one of your rivals, there are very few opportunities to get that back.
Yeah, listen, the head-to-heads are so important in this league. There's not much room for error and dropping points against each other. I think fans of the league will be wanting other teams to step up and take points off the top teams, but in the meantime you have to concentrate on making sure that you don't lose in these big games.
And Miedema, such a reliable goal scorer, and I think that Arsenal's qualification for the Champions League probably ensured she was going to stay, because there are so many top clubs across Europe who would have been happy to sign her up, and I'm sure some big clubs in the United States would have been looking at her as well.
Absolutely, I think she's full of confidence, as she should be, and I think what she will probably do is give it this season with Arsenal to see what they can win, if they can win anything, and then make a decision at the end of the season, and as she should do. It's a short career.
Still only 25 years of age, over 100 caps. It's now 61 goals in 68 WSL games. She could break all sorts of records in all sorts of leagues.
Yeah, she's not human at times, in the way that she makes it look so easy, scoring goals, and we all know it isn't easy to do that.
But Arsenal have said this season that they've spent more money than ever before to invest in the playing squad and also the infrastructure around it, as England wins the ball, but the challenge comes in, and it was a fair one from Leah Volti, according to the referee, although England has stayed down. But G has now won it back, and G can burst into the area, but it's tidied up by Williamson, and there is so much intensity out there in the early stages.
Tell you what, brilliant feat by Leah Williamson. She found herself turning her back on the ball, not by design, but managed to sort her feet out and get the ball away from G. But I don't know whether the Arsenal players would just pause, whether they were gonna, the referee was going to blow a whistle, but that was a fair challenge.
And to join the Atta Football community and access more women's football content, matches and highlights, don't forget to visit attafootball.com. Beth England just back to her feet. Well, she may take some time to run that off, and now there's a problem for Manuela Zinsberger as well. She's not really been involved in the action so far, but there could be movement on the Arsenal bench as Emma Hayes calls in her team for a mid-match debrief.
Yeah, Emma Hayes will be quite happy that she was able to get her team together at this stage in the first half, because they've not really settled into any sort of rhythm. I'm not sure that the shape is something that they're used to, but obviously it is something that she's considering playing this season. And probably a surprise to Arsenal. She was probably trying to match them up and then allow her forward players to cause the Arsenal back four some problems, but it means at the back that each of the defenders is occupied, and you know, the runs from Miedema, both wide left and wide right, and obviously this resulted in a goal. It's a terrific strike, that's top quality. I mean, you know, you can look at the goalkeeper, but I think the goalkeeper was expecting it to go in the far corner, but that is a good strike, and that is completely meant. She knew exactly where she was going to put that.
And Miedema will be such an important player for Arsenal in the UEFA Women's Champions League, assuming they come through the second leg of their qualification game in Prague on Wednesday. They head there with a 3-goal lead against Slavia, and if they come through that tie, they will be into the 16-team group stage.
I read a couple of interviews with Miedema before the season as well, Nigel. She seems happier. I think she's happy that, you know, that not that she wasn't good under Montemurro, she obviously was, but I think a clean slate, new manager, you know, they've had a look, like you said, about the infrastructure of the club, the resources, the facilities that they've got, making sure they've got more backroom staff to support and help the girls, because they've had a lot of injuries that they wanted to be able to explain, and I think that has just given a boost to all the players here and the new players.
And it's interesting that Arsenal have chosen to sign Tobin Heath as well. We saw a huge influx of US players into the WSL last season, but Arsenal chose not to really get involved as Iwabuchi almost robs Carter, and Carter then gets the free kick for the subsequent challenge. And she's been very busy, Jess Carter, on both sides of the ball so far. Katie McCabe has been shown the first yellow card for that tackle.
She nearly got to it there, Iwabuchi, but she just come in. It was a little bit reckless, wasn't it? I don't think she can really complain. She's probably arguing that it's her first foul, but she can't really complain about that.
Well, it was McCabe who went in very hard on Carter first.
Yeah. I think it is McCabe that's been booked, I'm presuming, because that was quite a wild challenge, really, but unnecessary. But I think that, again, is an indication of the way Arsenal are setting the stall out this season and working hard, high intensity, pressing when they think that they can win it, and they've done that in the opening minutes of this game.
Confirmation of that yellow card for Katie McCabe. And Arsenal were the team who dominated the women's game for so long. When Emma Hayes was part of their backroom team, they're still the only English side to win the European Cup. But they've been overtaken in recent years by both Chelsea and Manchester City, who brought big budgets to the women's game in the UK, and Arsenal weren't quite able to match them, although they still managed to pick up a title a couple of years ago and have enjoyed some success in the FA Cup. But there is a different look about them at the start of this season, because they picked up very few points against fellow title challengers last year, and the confidence really epitomised by the run forward here from Volti. But McCabe losing out and maybe mindful that she's carrying that yellow card.
I have to say, in the midfield area, Arsenal dominating, particularly in numbers. When you've got Volti playing and she sits right in front of the two centre halves, protects those, and she's very clever at positioning, the way that she cuts off passing lines as well. And when they do get it in the middle, he will be happy with the start that his team have made.
And he's still got Nikita Paris in reserve today, and she could be a very handy player to bring on when the players tire in the second half. Now Moritz, born in Newport Beach, but is a Swiss international. And she does have Champions League success with Wolfsburg on her CV. Beattie. Williamson finding Little, who was demanding possession. Iwabuchi. Now Little, Miedemar pulling away to the left. Which is now found by Manum. Miedemar just turning into traffic, and Cuthbert makes the challenge, and Cuthbert can now lead the breakaway for Chelsea. England ahead of her. Harder making tracks down the centre. G. Arsenal once again had that defensive shield set up very quickly.
Yeah, sitting deeper, denying space in behind for the pace of the Arsenal forwards. Chelsea forwards, sorry.
Miedemar picking up the pieces. Little is down, but Arsenal will continue. Here is Manon, and the new signing brings a save out of Berger.
Manon, new signing for Arsenal, does like to get forward. He's quite prepared to take a shot as soon as she gets close to the opposition's penalty area. See how far up, she's the furthest player up there, and is not afraid to do that, particularly when there's no support around her.
Frida Marnham looks to have settled in very well already. Leopolds.
I think you can tell, Nigel, that Arsenal have already had 3 competitive games, just in the way that they're quite sure of their roles that they're playing and the players.
Cuthbert. Charles. And Arsenal are backpedaling here. G. Cuthbert. Now Carter had the opportunity to play it long, but in the end tried to find Charles, and McCabe made the challenge. But Chelsea, for the first time as we approach the half hour, are beginning to enjoy sustained possession inside the Arsenal half. Charles. The clearance will be gathered by Bright. Eriksson. Harder has barely had a kick so far.
Yeah, she's mostly played in that wide left forward.
Leopold has given the ball away to Miedemar. She's got support from Mead, but she could be the decoy. Here is Iwabuchi. Three wait for the cross. Iwabuchi will take on Ji. Japan against South Korea. And in the end, the cross is cleared only as far as Manum. And it's a more powerful effort this time, which Berger's able to deal with.
Yeah, again, Manum right on the edge of the area, quite happy. A number of players in the box, but no, she just thinks about striking. You can just see the venom in that. She has that technical ability and the power to score goals, and just stung Berger's gloves.
Charles. Cuthbert. Real ebb and flow to the game now. Harder. And it could open out for Chelsea on the left. Wrighton. Only England inside the penalty area. England will challenge, but Zinsberger gathered, and I think that England may have just left something on her there.
Yeah, they're managing to get players forward, Chelsea, getting the ball forward quickly, but Arsenal are actually managing their defensive third really well. And balls into the box, whether it's the goalkeeper or the centre halves so far.
McCabe. Here is Beattie. A second spell with Arsenal, left to win a WSL with Manchester City. Wrighton. Good header away by Beattie. Charles unable to link up with Ji. No Manum. McCabe not helped by the pace of the pass there from Beattie. It's a good spell for Chelsea. Charles. Ji. Now Carter. Lovely turn again from Ji. She's so tricky in that sort of situation, and Ji could go all the way herself. And the shot is eventually blocked, but that would have been some goal. Little. And there's indecision between Williamson and Moritz. Longer from Williamson this time. And all of a sudden, Arsenal are finding it difficult to own the midfield, which they were doing fairly comfortably in the opening 20 minutes. But here is Mead. Room for her to chase. Now she may have to wait for support. Little. And it's back to Williamson. A player who has been part of Arsenal's academy since the age of 9. And she has won every domestic honour with the club.
She's a classy footballer, Leah Williamson. She's played in that centre midfield position as well as centre back. Probably her best position if she can just get in a consistent position for a long period of time. Partnered with Jem Beattie, it's a good combination, those two.
I'm not sure McCabe intended that as a pass to herself, but it worked out. She can now deliver the cross. Mead waiting at the far post. Iwabuchi and Miedemar in the centre. Iwabuchi skied it. Should have been 2-0.
Just a little bit more composure, which we fully expect from Iwabuchi. She looked like that she needed to get into some space, but sometimes actually standing still creates a space for you. She's there, she stood still, and the Chelsea players move around her, and it just allows her to be opened up to the pass from Beth Mead. But that is not what we expect from Iwabuchi, and Chelsea will breathe a sigh of relief.
Arsenal almost scoring the second on the breakaway at a time when Chelsea were looking at their most dangerous. G. Longer this time, but it's quickly cut out by McCabe. Now Volti. Maritz.
It's actually a good game, this, Nigel, in terms of the ebb and flow of momentum with each team. Good quality to it, technical quality and physicality from both teams.
We were both at Goodison Park yesterday to watch Everton against Manchester City. Manchester City were brilliant, but the game didn't really have that intensity, did it? Because they were just on another level.
Yeah, they were on another level to Everton, and that's for sure in terms of yesterday's game. But, you know, this is against two real quality sides.
G. Now Harder. And it's very important for the WSL to have as many teams involved in the shake-up as possible, as Carter's shot whistles over the top. We had the big one for a time, Arsenal, then it was the big two, Chelsea and Manchester City. And there may be a big 3 or 4 this season, which is very good for the game.
Yeah, it is. I think it's so important that you've got teams that take points off the top 3. It just makes the league a lot more interesting, a lot more competitive. And we know we have the quality of players within the league, but there is a discrepancy between the top teams and the bottom teams.
McCabe losing out to Charles. Solid challenge coming in from Maritz, but Cuthbert is clever and she can be elusive, and that's an interesting ball. Beattie with the initial touch, but England almost finds Harder, and it's gathered by Zinsberger.
Tell you what, brilliant from Kim Little in terms of her tracking back, recognises and snuffs out danger. Chelsea again get the ball forward quickly, got that pace, and that's a really good ball. It stretches Jem Beattie. It just allows England, but just see Kim Little there. Harder back on her heels, allowed Kim Little to come in and intercept. That's a terrific play by her.
And Atta Football is excited to announce its partnership with the Girls Academy, the only all-girls youth development platform in the US. Together, they're looking forward to inspiring the next generation of female players. And we mentioned that Tobin Heath will be part of the Arsenal team very soon. Of course, they had Heather O'Reilly, who was a great player for them a few years ago, and she's watching today. She's been in contact with you.
Yeah, good old Heyo watching the young son. I think she's pregnant again as well, so best wishes to her. But yeah, she loved her time at Arsenal, and she's absolutely buzzing that Tobin Heath has signed. Tobin Heath, an Arsenal fan. And obviously when a player like that comes up and they're free to sign, and obviously when you're a team like Arsenal, then you jump at the chance. But that's a really exciting signing for the WSL. She's had one season in there, she knows what it's all about, and she's a world-class player.
Carter. And if there are any legends or current NWSL players watching, they can get in touch with the hashtag #WatchWithAtta. Early morning, of course, on the East Coast and even earlier on the West Coast, but the WSL was a very popular watch in the US last season, and games like this will certainly enhance it.
Yeah, this is a game of the highest quality in terms of the English WSL. It's a great advert, and it's a warm day today as well. Let's not forget, it's a big pitch. It's Emirates pitch, and we'll see how that affects the girls as the game progresses.
G. Now Charles. Harder. There could be space here for the shot. It's deflected, and it was scrambled behind by Zinsberger.
It's a good shot by Harder, but I think what Zinsberger recognised, it got that deflection. I'm not sure she thought it was going in. I don't know whether she was trying to stop the corner. I don't think she was aware where she was with regards to her goal, but giving set pieces away, and this Chelsea team will also try and avoid it as much as possible.
Cuthbert will take it. And it's allowed to run towards the near post and Bright. And Cuthbert just took her off the ball there and allowed the challenge to come in. And Arsenal have the opportunity to clear. And there is movement already around the Chelsea bench, and I'm sure if things stay like this, players like Ingle, Kerr and Kirby will be involved.
Yeah, I think they obviously think about these players and their Olympics experience, and they'll have had some time off after that, and it's just ensuring that the players out there are at peak physical condition, because you know, with the depth of these squads, there are other players that are. So I think that's probably what Emma Hayes is thinking in terms of her choices today.
Eriksson. And Arsenal will be delighted with the start they've made here, because although they held Chelsea last season, they often found themselves unable to beat the sides around them, and they relied really on a collapse from Manchester United to reach the Champions League. Harder, although they did beat Casey Stoney's team late in the season. Charles, cross into the arms of Zinsberger.
Yeah, a lot of Chelsea's build-up work is quick-paced, and then it slows down, and just that final ball has not quite been at it today, but you just see the quality of the players. They pass and move it very, very quickly. But that needs to be better. You look at the bodies in the box there for Chelsea. That has to be a better ball in from Niamh Charles.
But the champions heading towards half-time. A goal down here, and Carter knew that Mead was in the vicinity and just recovered in time.
And she styled that out really well, like she meant it, but that was
she didn't. Now Cuthbert in space behind McCabe. But once again, the cross is not of sufficient quality. And Pernilla Harder is cutting an increasingly frustrated figure.
Yeah, she's just waiting in the middle. I mean, her movement's terrific. Pernilla Harder, you see Erin Cuthbert down this right-hand side. She's pointing where she wants it, and that has to be pinpoint. It's a difficult skill, but one that Erin Cuthbert is very well capable of.
She sometimes found herself behind the likes of Kirby and Kerr in the pecking order, particularly for big games in Europe towards the end of last season, Erin Cuthbert, but she is a player who would start for the vast majority of the other WSL teams.
Yeah, she's a super talent, Erin Cuthbert, and like you say, Nigel, probably any other team she'd get a lot of game time, but I think with this Chelsea squad, they've all agreed with the way that they're going to play and the way that the squad works, and the important players sometimes are the ones sat on the bench. And you know, Jess Carter last year hardly played right until the end, and she ended up playing in the Champions League final, so you have to be ready when you're part of this big squad in terms of injuries or suspensions. And Emma Hayes always stresses that it's about the squad rather than the 11.
Harder comes out by Williamson. Now Little. They did allow a senior defender to leave. Hannah Blundell has moved to Manchester United. And if Chelsea do have problems on the left-hand side, she could be a significant miss.
Yeah, I think if there's one criticism you could give in terms of this Chelsea squad, it's the depth defensively. You know, they let Blundell go. They just signed one other defensive player, and so they're in a similar position to what they were last season, where, you know, that's probably the difference between them and Barcelona and in the Champions League final.
Carter evading Miedemar, and she's found Cuthbert. And once again, there is an overload for Chelsea on the left. Brighton. Leopolds. Charles. Arsenal have been given the opportunity to get players back, but here is she in space, and it's brilliant defending inside the area from Williamson to prevent the equalising goal.
Terrific play. That's how you get past this Arsenal block on the edge of the area. Really clever play, and I thought that G was just going to take it sooner, it just allowed Williamson to get across, and terrific defending in the end. That 1-2, it's so difficult to defend against, but just that delay, I think, from G with a shot. Usually she would have probably taken the chance a little bit, split second earlier. Good play though.
Second corner for Chelsea. Second corner of the game. It's played short. Here is Charles. Hung up again, the bodies go tumbling. And the shot from Bright is deflected, but it could fall for Cuthbert! And the champions are level. And that spell of pressure brings the equaliser just before half-time.
That was really good from Chelsea. Sustained pressure. Arsenal really failed to clear the lines, and when it did eventually end at Erin Cuthbert, she made no mistake. Just kept putting the ball back in areas. Arsenal couldn't clear the edge of the area. Millie Bright with the effort, but it's clever play this from Leupolz. Seeing Erin Cuthbert, and she just passes it into the back of the net. She didn't really need to put that much pace on the ball. And Millie Bright has that effort, but that's clever. That little layoff there, and she could see where the space was, Cuthbert, and she had the composure, didn't she, to just pass the ball into the back of the net. It's a terrific finish, and to be fair, in the last part of this first half, they've been the dominant team. They've found spaces in between the lines. Harder's been a little bit more clever with the movement, and they've had that pressure.
And that goal had been coming. And Arsenal can look back on a dominant opening 20 minutes or so, but since then Chelsea have worked their way into the game. And 1-1 just before half-time. Now Mead. Good support from Maritz. And that chance for Iwabuchi to make it 2-0. Now seems an even more pivotal moment in the game. Miedema. Now Mead, onside, Little waiting for the pullback, it'll break to Miedema! And she just tried to shape it towards the far post.
She worked it onto her left foot. But whenever Miedema just comes away from that central position, she's so difficult to defend against. Just allows Bethany, she couldn't really pick Kim Little out, but it lands at Miedema, which is probably where you want it to end up, but sliced across the ball, and that was an opportunity for Arsenal to get themselves in front before half-time.
Chelsea were not often behind last season as we enter a minimum of 2 added minutes at the end of the first half. But Arsenal may regret those missed chances. Iwabuchi inviting Miedema to chase Carter. Again, very cool in a difficult situation. Both coaches will have positives to reflect on and 1 or 2 things to address during the dressing room at half-time.
Yeah, it was a great start from Arsenal. They got the goal, and then just bit by bit they just allowed Chelsea to come onto them. Chelsea clever and patient with the possession that they had and just finding spaces as they went forward, and a deserved equaliser, but it's been a high-quality first half.
And it's possible that Chelsea learnt lessons from what happened to them in the Champions League final. Barcelona were playing another sport at times, but they did panic early on in that game when they just needed to get hold of the ball and try and get some sort of control. They didn't, and as a result the game was lost almost before they'd began.
Yeah, there's a lot to be said about having some measured possession, either in your defensive third or your midfield third, just so you don't panic. But I think he will be more or less happy with his team's performance, but not particularly about conceding that goal in the latter stages of this first half.
But it's been very entertaining fare for the crowd here at the Emirates Stadium. Terrific opening 45 minutes. Vivianne Miedema with the opening goal for Arsenal. They could and possibly should have extended their lead, but just before half-time a goalmouth scramble was eventually finished off by Erin Cuthbert, and Chelsea, who started the game slowly, are now back on level terms. At half-time it is Arsenal 1, Chelsea 1. Outstanding first half at the Emirates Stadium in London. Half-time, it is 1-1 between Chelsea and the WSL champions, Arsenal. And here are the first half highlights. Lucy Ward is alongside me, and Arsenal were the dominant side in the early moments, and they took the lead thanks to their main striker, Vivianne Wiedemann, turning inside Jess Carter and picking out that near post.
Yeah, I think they've got a lot of joy, hadn't they? Arsenal down Chelsea's right, just behind the wing-back, Neve Charles, but this is all about the quality of Wiedemann. Jess Carter tries to stay close to her. In the end, she put it through Jess Carter's legs, and it just allowed goalkeeper Berger just to be unsighted for a split second, and that's all Wiedemann needed.
And Arsenal were the dominant side at this stage. And one of their new signings, Frida Manum, striking from long range, and it was gathered well by Ann-Katrin Berger.
Yeah, Manum appeared on the edge of the area quite a few times, got herself right up there, and I think we can see that's a sign of things to come from her this season for Arsenal.
And Katie McCabe improvising well. And this was an opportunity which really should have given Arsenal the second goal. There was space and time for Beth Mead to find Mana Iwabuchi, and the Japanese international got right underneath it.
Yeah, and that this game will be about small margins, and like you say, Arsenal could have found themselves quite easily 2-0 up by this stage, and then they did ended up going back behind just before half-time.
And Chelsea were building and building. Pernilla Harder with a shot which was deflected off Jen Beattie and scrambled behind by Manuela Zinsberger. And Chelsea took time to find the necessary ingredients around the midfield, and Ji was given time to pick her spot, and once again it was desperate defending to deny her.
Yeah, Chelsea got their bodies around Arsenal's penalty area. Clever play. Ji, you always expect that. If you're going to get something creative, it comes from her.
But a short corner caused confusion. Erin Cuthbert originally took it, and when Arsenal failed to clear it conclusively, the shot from Millie Bright squirted across the penalty area. Leopolds with a clever assist, and Cuthbert had come in field to apply the finish.
Yeah, she kept her composure, didn't she, Erin Cuthbert? She stayed in a position where if the ball was going to come in that area, then she was free and passed it into the back of the net. And Arsenal will be really disappointed, I would suspect, for conceding, but they knew that they were under pressure. They knew they couldn't have gone the whole half, and expected this Chelsea team not to approach their goal or threaten their goal.
But Arsenal finished the first half on the attack. Vivianne Wiedemann picking out Mead, ever present down the right-hand side. It was back to Wiedemann, and she tried to cut across the face of the ball but sliced it wide.
Yeah, I mean, you would say that that's the big opportunity for a player like Wiedemann, and I think all the Arsenal fans in the crowd, if they wanted the ball to land anywhere, it would be in front of her, but again, not quite what was needed.
So, a reminder of the situation on the opening weekend of the Women's Super League. The winners so far, the two Manchester clubs. Manchester United kicking things off against Reading on Friday, and Manchester City dominant at Goodison Park yesterday. Aston Villa beating the debutants Leicester City, coming from behind to win by 2-1. And Spurs at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium with a single goal victory against Birmingham City. 1-1 here at the Emirates, and Brighton against West Ham is the final goal of the weekend. Let's have a look now at what happened in the match at Goodison Park between Everton and Manchester City. Commentary from Phil Blacker.
Manchester City with plenty in support of the attack here. This is Becky. Caroline Weir has made the run and does get on the end of it. Blocked here for Lasada, who takes the touch and then finds the emphatic finish to score on her league debut for Manchester City. The European champion opens Manchester City's account. That's well won. And it breaks for Becky. And still Janine Becky, space opens up, she's going to take the shot on, and she's going to make it 2-0 to the visitors. Well, after that incredible summer, the Olympic champion is a goal scorer on opening day. Lady Rasso, and tees it up perfectly for Shaw for 3. It's 2 in 2 minutes for Manchester City to stretch further clear. And it's a debut goal in the WSL for Khadija Bunny Shaw. And we kept it in. Here goes Becky. Looking for Shaw. It will come back for Becky again to go for goal. So close, off the angle and away. Very nearly her second of the game. Manchester City enjoying themselves. So it will be left for the skipper, Steph Horton, to strike it so sweetly. Perfect free kick. And it's 4. Goalkeeper had absolutely no chance. And Everton got anything by way of a late consolation here. Govan off the bench to hit the bar. They can't quite scramble it in. Bjorn is denied as well. It just won't go in for Everton. This is Manchester City's day at Goodison.
So at half-time here at the Emirates Stadium, Arsenal dominant in the early stages, but Chelsea coming back to score the equaliser thanks to Erin Cuthbert. And we have the second half coming up very soon. And here is the moment of the half, brought to you by Atta Football. For more premium European women's football content,
but I think the goalkeeper was expecting to go in the foul.
And here is the opening goal scored by Vivian Miedema for Arsenal, delighting their new coach, Jonas Edeval. But Chelsea responded just before half-time. Cleverly done by Leopolds and calmness from Cuthbert. And we are set up for a terrific second half here. 1-1 at the Emirates Stadium. And welcome back to the Emirates Stadium for the second half of Arsenal against Chelsea on the opening weekend of the Women's Super League. Vivian Miedema giving Arsenal an early lead, but they were unable to sustain it. Erin Cuthbert with the equaliser. And there could be movement from the Chelsea bench before the second half, and Lucy Ward is alongside me, and I think there'll be some disappointment for Arsenal. They didn't build on the lead. Yeah,
I think so. I think they started off really well. They got the goal. You know, that they found Chelsea's weaknesses, but then Chelsea wrestled themselves back into the game, didn't they? And now Arsenal have a problem of dealing with them on the break, and the amount of players that they've got of quality in that final third. And I think because Katie McCabe is on a yellow card as well, Nigel, at left back, it just has stopped the aggression in the press, and I think she leads that press, doesn't she, for Arsenal, and not quite kept that going throughout the first half.
Erin Cuthbert with the equalising goal. Fran Kirby was warming up during half-time, but no sign of her at the moment. Arsenal get the second half underway. 1-1 after what was a first half which was very intense in the North London sunshine. And we heard the Everton coach Willie Kirk suggest his team possibly froze in the surroundings of Goodison Park yesterday when Everton lost to Manchester City by 4-0, but no sign of any similar problems for either side here today so far.
I think Arsenal would prefer to have Iwabuchi more involved in the game. When she's playing that wider left role, it doesn't really go through her as much as it would when she's in centre midfield, and that just takes away from her effectiveness sometimes.
Miedema working the angle with Iwabuchi, and now finding McCabe. Williamson. Mead. And straight to Xi. Cuthbert. Scored only twice in the Super League last season, although she came off the bench on many occasions. Now Wrighton found by Harder. Interesting cross off the crossbar.
Wow, I'm not sure that Wrighton meant that. She would have certainly claimed it. Took Zinsberger by surprise, but there's a space out wide. Wrighton not really got that much forward in the first half, but that's not far away, is it?
Well, Guro Wrighton does provide something different for Chelsea down the left-hand side, gives them real balance. And she almost provided the goal there.
Yeah, with the way that Chelsea have set up, she's sort of playing that left wing-back role, so didn't really get as far forward with Harder in front of her for the majority of that first half, but a sign of things to come. And Harder going inside just allows that space for Wrighton down the left-hand side.
G. Now Carter. And conditions will take their toll on both sets of players the longer it goes on after a very cold August in the UK. It's a warm start to September. G. She almost found Harder, but Miedema looking to link up with Mead, and now she'll try to do that down the centre. Mead is quick and she's there before Eriksson. Beth Mead may need some support now, or can she go herself? Oh, what a goal! Beth Mead on the opening day of the season with what could prove to be the goal of the season.
What a goal that is from Beth Mead. Now, she came to Arsenal a goal scorer. She's played out wide. This is a story of Arsenal probably in this second half, getting the ball, and it's a direct ball forward from Miedema, but she got the pace, hadn't she, to outpace Eriksson, but then she's got the composure. She didn't need to take any more touches. That's a terrific finish from Beth Mead, but she grew up a goal scorer, and that never leaves you. What a strike that is.
Wow. Beth Mead was converted from a young number 9 in terms of position to a wide player by Arsenal. I remember her once giving Chelsea a torrid time when she was playing for Sunderland, but she's matured and her game has matured.
Yeah, I played a lot against Beth Mead when she was a youngster, and she's always in front of goal, always wanted to score, and went to Arsenal, like you say, Nigel, had to mature in terms of her positional sense. She's got Miedema in that 9 usually, so Beth Mead quite a lot of the time is the creative force and one of the wide positions, but when she is put through on goal, I think it's a big occasion. It's a massive game for Arsenal. It's at the home ground, a big crowd, but that does not faze Beth Mead, and that is a terrific finish given the circumstances. And Chelsea got themselves on top, but Arsenal scoring in the big moments.
Well, she scored in the home game against Chelsea last season. Late on, it should have been the winning goal before a late own goal rescued a point for Chelsea. And in the early moments of the second half, she outpaced the heart of the Chelsea defence, and Mead is off and running again here. Berger coming outside her penalty area, and she's able to take evasive action.
Well, that's the ball, isn't it? Arsenal have recognised when Chelsea just got the high line there, the space is in behind, and when you've got the pace of Mead and Miedema, and that's the area she did well getting off the line there, Berg.
Monham. Iwabuchi. Williamson. Now Moritz. Williamson looking for that switch of play again. Headed away initially by Charles, but now Miedema. Here is Mead again! And this time Berger makes an excellent save.
Oh, that's a great save, and you forget the quality of Berger. Beth Mead in her goal, and the finish made Berger look ordinary, but this is what she's all about as a goalkeeper, the Chelsea goalkeeper. Probably one of their best players last season. Recognised the danger, gets off the line really, really quickly, makes herself as big as possible. A good save.
And how concerned will Emma Hayes be at the lack of pace at the heart of her defence at the moment? We'll just watch this long throw, which is met by Bright. She will try and complete the clearance. She may do more than that. Wrighton. England has beaten to it.
It's a little bit like a chess match in terms of the tactics of both coaches. Emma Hayes got herself on top with her team in the first half and getting the equaliser. Arsenal have worked out how to play against this Chelsea side, and she's got to work it out again, or her players have to.
But there was a gap there between Eriksson and Bright, and in that moment they were both running in cement.
They were, and Eriksson is probably the best left-sided centre-back in world women's football, and that ball just beat the pair of them, her and Bright, so that is a worry.
The Arsenal fans here, who have come in their thousands to the Emirates Stadium today, are enjoying what they're seeing once again as Carter wins the free kick. And Chelsea may regard the early weeks of the WSL as an opportunity to tune up for the start of the Champions League group stage, which begins in early October, but they've got a title to defend.
Yeah, and Arsenal are already at that level, aren't they? They've started this game that physically look good. They know exactly how they're playing with a new manager, and obviously put a lot of work in, and then had the rewards from the Champions League games as well, and score at big moments, Nigel.
And Arsenal have not beaten Chelsea since October of 2018 in what was a remarkable 5-0 success at Chelsea's home ground, Kingsmeadow. Vivian Miedema scored on that occasion as Chelsea made a slow start to the campaign, and Arsenal ultimately won the championship. And it's an Arsenal team without Jordan Nobbs at the moment, who suffered a ligament injury in the pre-season game against Chelsea. She's a player who has had some horrible injury luck in recent years, but when she's fit, she's one of the best around.
Yeah, she is. She's an important player for Arsenal, Jordan Nobbs, but you say frustrating for her to come back from a cruciate injury and do her ankle actually in this stadium as well against Chelsea. She'll be desperate to get back and get on the pitch.
Arsenal free kick. Melanie Leopold's assisted the goal, but at times she's found the game passing her by.
Yeah, I think the way that Chelsea is set up is not really suited her. She's been overrun a little bit in midfield, and while ever she's got G next to her that does tend to float, I think Ingle will probably be brought on for that role.
Looks like a treble change coming. Emma Hayes has clearly seen enough. Three players who were involved in the Olympics, Sophie Ingle, Frank Kirby and Sam Kerr, will all be coming on. Jessie Fleming is also on the Chelsea bench. Of course, she scored in the Olympic final as Canada went on to win gold. Scored the winner against the US in the semi as well, but we may not see her today as Ingle comes on to try and shore up the midfield. And Leopold's, who's had one or two problems, makes way. And Beth England will also come off. Sam Kerr will now operate as the main striker.
It may indicate a change of shape as well, Nigel, so just to add a little bit of protection to the two centre-backs for Chelsea. We'll see over the coming minutes.
And leave Charles, the other player, withdrawn. And this is probably closer to the Chelsea team we may see for much of the season, and certainly in the Champions League.
Yeah, I think it's important to look after the players that were out at the Olympics. It's a long old season when you're involved in the Champions League as well.
Now Iwabuchi. So confirmation of those changes going through as the cross delivered from Maritz, but gathered by Berger. And this now an intriguing stage of the game, with Chelsea bringing on their big hitters to try and come from behind once again.
And they've kept the same formation. Three centre-backs you can see there. Eriksson to Millie Bright, over to Jess Carter. And Ingle is just like for like with Leopold's, that centre midfield area. And they knew that once they got a little bit of possession in the first half, they did produce a goal.
First touch for Kirby. And she only finds Beattie. And Arsenal play their way out, and you can hear the home crowd really warming to the way their team are playing here. Miedema. And Little making one of those characteristic bursts from midfield, but it's gathered by Berger.
Yeah, it was the right sort of ball. I don't think Kim Little was going to make that run. Just a little bit too much on it.
And Sam Kerr, a player who has been a serial winner wherever she's gone. Scored 6 times in the Olympic Games, including strikes in the matches against both the US and Great Britain. And she scored 21 goals in 22 games last season.
Incredible, Nigel. I mean, and that was she was sort of slow to start a goal scoring, and when she did come over, it was right in the middle of COVID lockdown. It's so difficult for a player to come from another country and settle in when you can't socialise with your teammates. But I mean, she's just shown a quality, hasn't she, as the season went on last season.
Free kick for Chelsea. She will be one of the targets here at the far post. Wrighton drives it in her general direction. It's cleared. She. Now Kerr. Interesting cross in towards the far post. Eriksson possibly took the ball away from Harder.
Yeah, Zinsberger looked a little bit lost as that ball came over there. She misjudged where she was in respect of the other players, and luckily for her, Eriksson couldn't really get any sort of contact towards goal.
Iwabuchi. Now Little. Miedemar. Iwabuchi makes the run in behind. Carter has to deal with this. And here is Mead once again beyond the goalkeeper. Still Beth Mead. Brilliant! On the opening day, it's turning into her day. And the champions look set for defeat.
That's absolute top quality again from Beth Mead. The awareness, she's even got cramp for her trouble, but the awareness initially from Iwabuchi, that's why she's in this Arsenal team. Just the creativity, it's actually started with her. And as she makes that run beyond, Miedemar, they love connecting with each other, but that first time ball does look like she's ventured offside there, but that's a difficult one for the assistant, you can see, but just keeping a composure again. And in the end, it's a slide rule pass into the back of Arsenal's net, but that's excellent play again down the right-hand side for Arsenal. They've really connected with each other really well.
Well, there is no VAR in WSL, and Arsenal may have got away with one there because Mead looked to be offside, but there is no doubt in the quality of the finish, and a player who has been known for her assisting in recent years has come up with 2 goals here.
Yeah, do you know what? And she works so hard, Beth Mead, as well, and she's getting the rewards on the particularly brilliant stage.
Change has been made by Arsenal. McCabe and Iwabuchi are the players going off, and Steph Catley and Nikita Paris coming on. Now this should be very, very interesting. She scored 19 and 19 in her previous WSL season with Manchester City. Nikita Paris moved on to Lyon, won the Champions League there. Now she's back on these shores to add to an Arsenal team already 3-1 up against the champions.
Yeah, good changes, well managed this game so far from Edeval. He talked before the game about the way that they'll finish the game will be different to how they start, and having Paris is such a big player to bring on.
Free kick given to Chelsea. Confirmation of those Arsenal changes just going through on your screen. Volti, the player who was penalised.
Yeah, Steph Catley's come on to replace McCabe at left back. I think that's probably just because McCabe's on a yellow card, and the way that she plays is high intensity and quite aggressive, and don't want to risk her being sent off. But it's a sensible, both sensible substitutions. Paris gives the Chelsea defence something else to think about.
Chelsea 3-1 down, heading for their first away defeat for nearly 5 years. But there is still time to rescue this. Wrighton with the free kick, great delivery, very good defending before the shot from Bright is hooked off target.
Tell you what, that's a fantastic ball. It just causes all sorts of problems for a defence. Terrific header out. I think it was Valti in the end. Really Bright just couldn't hook the ball back into the net.
And Beth Mead twice assisted by Vivian Miedemar. It's usually the other way round. Iwabuchi, of course, played her role in the second of the goals she scored.
Yeah, and I think that Chelsea playing 3 at the back has probably contributed to the conceding of all 3 goals.
But here is Kirby. Kerr was waiting for it. Beattie with a brilliant challenge. Now Cuthbert. Deflection on the cross, and the header is in. And Harder has got Chelsea back into the game straight away.
What a goal that is. What a game this is. And from one end to the other. And down that right-hand side is absolutely terrific play. Again by Erin Cuthbert. And Chelsea bought the big hitters on, didn't they? And I think initially it was a great challenge from Jem Beattie. from Frank Kirby, but Chelsea just don't give it up. They always keep the ball alive. It's good play by Cuthbert, and it's a great ball in, and you just see Harder on her own there. Gets herself in front of Valti, who had no idea that she was there. Needed to open her body up to see, but there's no stopping that.
And the game turns again. Arsenal coming forward in what's been a scintillating second half. But their lead has been trimmed to 3-2.
And I do think the susceptibility, I'm just saying before that goal for Chelsea at the back, is just their three. They're not used to playing that three. And the areas that Arsenal have pinpointed, and that has got them their 3 goals, but they've just want to make sure they keep it tight at the back, and we know the quality of Chelsea going forward.
Kirby. Now Kerr. Vanilla Harder has made so many of those runs in the game so far and never received the ball, but that's a lesson to any young player, just to keep working, keep putting yourself in the right areas. Harder. Beatty with the clearance.
Yes, Wally, good. Good, Tim.
Now G. Shrugs off Little. G continues. I think she was waiting for Kerr to take the ball off her, but she allowed her to continue. Ingle. And Kerr just leave it off it by Williamson. Oh, and there's a nasty clash of heads there. Eriksson was involved. She will actually be booked for her role in that.
It's a clumsy challenge from Eriksson, and actually the ball into Paris was an unnecessary one. She doesn't want a ball there in the air, and it just allowed Eriksson to come steaming in. A yellow card for her troubles, but in the meantime Paris is flat on her back on the floor.
So Eriksson receives the yellow card, but Nikita Paris is receiving the treatment. Don't think she touched the ball up to that stage.
Yeah, when you're a wide attacker and your team has just one possession in the defensive third, that's not the sort of ball that you want up to you halfway in your own half. And like I say, you've then got to physically battle with Eriksson, who had the run on Nikita Paris, and you end up like that.
And the medical team will be very careful with a head injury. And Nikita Paris is back on her feet, which is good to see. It seems she'll be fine to carry on. And to join the Atta Football community and access more women's football content, matches and highlights, don't forget to visit attafootball.com. Rebecca Welsh is just telling Nikita Paris she will have to come off before being called back onto the field. We're at the midpoint of the second half, which has already brought us 3 quality goals. Given away by Kirby. Paris is back on the field of play. She. Both Paris and Miedemar were on the score sheet in midweek when Chelsea beat, or rather Arsenal beat Slavia Prague 3-0 in a Champions League qualifier. Kim Little got the other goal. They're losing out, and the early ball forward again, looking for Miedemar, but just beyond her this time.
Yeah, it's always on, whether it's central or whether it's wide. That early ball forward is always on for Arsenal. but not like that.
Well, Chelsea have only lost 3 league games in 4 years, but Beth Mead is doing her best to change that here today. And Arsenal finding the Emirates Stadium very much to their liking. Kerr. She found G, but I don't think she meant to. Kirby. Now Cuthbert on the overlap. The cross is fisted away by Zinsberger. And then Arsenal get the free kick. G looked to apply the finish.
Yeah, it's much better work down the right-hand side for Chelsea in this second half. A really dangerous ball's been put into the box. And Arsenal have had to defend. And well, usually coming from Cuthbert, you see they're going on the overlap and then just fizzes the ball in. And Kerr's waiting to pounce.
G's flick on. Miedemar. Paris is the out ball now down the right-hand side, and there is so much pace in this Arsenal attack.
Yeah, just trying to force that ball there. It is the ball that's on, but trying to force the passes just allows Chelsea to regain possession.
Brighton. Comfortably by Williamson. Paris. And Nikita Paris is a player who has won honours both in England and Europe. Also a very important part of the England team. Ingle. And Chelsea look so much more solid in midfield with Ingle directly in the traffic. Brighton was caught there by Paris, and the free kick is given, although Paris not convinced.
The referee didn't initially give that free kick until the ball was passed back to Wrighton, and she let the ball run past it, and she was on her knees.
But Beth Mead has provided 2 moments to remember for Arsenal since half-time, although she may have been offside there. But the way she showed the calmness inside the penalty area was something to admire.
Yeah, great little first touch past Berger, and then calmness of a goal scorer to pass into the back of the net, and it's a complete opposite to her first goal.
Faulty.
And Arsenal just forcing those sort of passes through when they could just, they've got the passers in the team, and they just need to get some sort of possession. It doesn't always have to be that early, but early ball forward, because keep giving away possession to Chelsea.
But it's credit to Chelsea and Emma Hayes, who made those changes at 3-1 and has now seen the side come back into the game. Eriksson on a yellow card has left Paris on the turf. No free kick was given. Jonas Sideval, the Arsenal coach, is complaining.
My initial thought that it wasn't a foul, but then you look at the reaction of Paris. It was a bad first touch. She clattered into Paris, didn't she? I mean, usually you'll probably see that. Well, actually, depending on which way you're looking at that, it could be a foul either way, because you see the way Paris goes into it and then you see the way Eriksson goes into it. And I think the referee probably thought it was 50-50. Whichever your persuasion is.
But Eriksson is walking a fine line on a yellow card. I don't think that was a foul, in all fairness to her, but I think her next infringement could be costly.
Yeah, I think Paris will stay on Eriksson.
And we hope Girls Academy players and coaches have joined us for this big opening weekend match and want to welcome them to the Atta Football community. Atta Football is excited to partner with like-minded organisations that believe in the beauty of the game and the opportunities it brings on and off the field. And there is real tension around the Emirates Stadium now, on and off the field.
Yeah, it's on a knife edge really, this game, because you know that Chelsea have the firepower to get goals. And Arsenal just have to keep their composure. They've got themselves in front, they have to defend well, they don't need to score again, but really rely on just defending when you're playing against this Chelsea team, particularly as they've been so successful going forward.
Yes, Kim!
Brighton. Adair. Kerr waiting just beyond her. Chelsea so close to another equaliser.
She's really grown into this game harder. She never stops working hard. It didn't fall for her in the first half. She's making things work for herself, and it's just an inch or so high. Occurs an inch or so too small for that header, but there's always in front in that the width of the 6-yard box. Sam Kerr waiting for that cross to come in.
Safety first now from Beattie, but here is G. Adair. G has got support from Kirby. Kerr waiting at the far post, but it's defended well by Catley.
She's front and centre of everything going forward harder now.
And Steph Catley, a player who brings so much experience from the WSL, but it's a concern here for Arsenal that Jem Beattie is down.
She certainly adds physicality to it, Jem Beattie. A good partnership with Leah Williamson, but it doesn't look like she's going to continue.
And there is going to be a change, and for Jonas Edeval, it could be one which could help to decide the course of this match. Emma Hayes has made attacking changes, which she had to do, and as a result her side now are dominating. Arsenal just happy to play on the breakaway.
I'm just trying to limit the disruption, but obviously Beattie looks like that she can't go on, and when you get yourself in a rhythm with a centre-back partnership, it's difficult at this stage, and with the game such in the balance, we really don't want to make that substitution, particularly players important as Beattie.
Well, play will continue, but the change is being made. And Simone Boye-Sørensen will come on, Danish international who started at the University of Texas before moving on to Bayern Munich.
More than capable replacement at centre-back, lots of experience internationally.
A long throw into the area results in an Arsenal free kick. Sam Kerr's wealth of experience in North American football has really been a benefit to both Chelsea and the Australian national side.
It's been a little bit stop-start the last 5 minutes or so, which I think will probably help Arsenal, because Chelsea were building up ahead of steam and having the momentum, and they did get that second goal.
But if there is to be another goal in this game, then Chelsea look the more likely goal scorers at the moment. But here is Miedema. Now there is space and time for Catley. Paris waits in the centre. Manon. Oh, and it was missed by Bright in the end. And from Chelsea's point of view, it's probably a good job she did. Harder. It's behind Kerr. Williamson can clear.
I want to talk about splitting up partnerships. Williamson has now had to move to left centre-back as she played and done well as the right centre-back throughout this game so far. So just a little bit disrupted that back four for Arsenal with the substitution of Jen Beattie.
Paris looking to use her pace. Eriksson aware of the danger. Very cool clearance from Ann-Katrin Berger at 3-2 down with 11 minutes to play. Little. Catley releasing Mead. Paris and Miedemar wait for the cross, and that was a tired cross from Beth Mead, and she's gone down, I think, with cramp again off the field. So play will continue with Arsenal down to 10 players. Wrighton. G. This is the sort of game which really sets us up for the Women's Super League season. And I'm sure that players from both of the Manchester clubs will be willing Chelsea to score an equaliser and ensure that two of their rivals drop points here. Ingle. Now Wrighton. The early cross is dealt with by Serns, and now G tells one dummy, then another. And it's brilliantly defended by Williamson. Wrighton. Little in the way this time. G. Eriksson hands it up. Kirby. It's a corner.
It's a warm, physically demanding day. It's been a high-intensity level game, and into the last 10 minutes of terrific positioning from Leah Williamson. Had her hands behind her back just to avoid any talk of handball or risk of handball.
Well, she is Arsenal through and through, and she showed it there. But the Arsenal crowd nervous, looking to urge their team to 3 points here, but a long way to go. Kerr's flick only finds Mead, and anywhere will do at the moment.
Yeah, they still need to have the outlet, Arsenal, and I think they were all back to defend that set piece.
Now there's a problem here for Beth Mead. It looks to be the right hamstring.
Yeah, I wasn't sure whether she had cramp earlier. She obviously did, and she's done a lot of running. Energy sapping pitch and an energy sapping day, and she just seemed to go over a little bit as she went off the pitch and onto the artificial grass at the end as she made that last run. But they wouldn't want to risk anything with her, with hamstring, particularly with her. She's had a fantastic game.
It is going to be a very long 8 minutes for Arsenal here. And there are going to be more changes as well.
That's Moy, one of them, coming on.
There are two youngsters, Anna Patton. Here's the other.
Just adding some defensive solidity to what Arsenal are doing, see if they can see the game out.
And Jonna Andersson, the Swedish international, replacing the Norwegian, Guro Reiten. And Ruben Moy and Anna Patton, two players who have experience in the US college system. Patton comes on for me. It could be a match-winning performance from her, but we don't know yet. Patton played for both Florida State and South Carolina. And Leah Volti is replaced by Lottie. Ruben Moy, who scored an injury-time own goal in the 1-1 draw last season between these two sides. She was the player of the match, but that was being announced just as she put the ball into her own net.
I think it was me that gave her the player of the match as well, so maybe
it was your fault then, yeah. Here is Anderson. Now Harder. Harder continues, but it's beyond Kerr, who had made that move to the near post.
I understand that the defensive changes for Arsenal, but it's so important for them that they don't sit deeper and deeper and just invite the pressure from Chelsea, because Chelsea will just give it as much as they've got in the remaining minutes of this game.
I mean, it's day one, but it feels like a title decider, doesn't it?
It does. I think, you can't stress enough the importance of this game and not dropping points to your rivals. But, this has been a terrific afternoon of football, and these two teams have given everything.
And Cuthbert just running out of room. And it's such an attack-minded Chelsea team now. And Jessie Fleming, the Canadian international, will now be coming on. She's done a good deal since coming through at UCLA. Of course, got that winner against the US in the Olympic semi-final, and also scored in the gold medal match in Tokyo. So she'll be coming back with plenty of confidence as Nikita Paris receives a yellow card for that challenge.
A good example of a forwards challenge, but it's caught.
Eriksson.
Maybe
there's some previous there.
Yeah, and she was just stood on her foot, didn't she? Wasn't particularly happy with Eriksson's challenge, but maybe that's equal. But as far as Arsenal's concerned, they have to concentrate on the job at hand, and giving Chelsea a free kick and managing to get the ball forward.
Yes, that's you, Pete.
Anderson. Now Eriksson.
Yes, it's you again, Pete.
Anderson can deliver the cross, but Paris doing her defensive duties. G. Eriksson.
Help here. Yes, Viv. Good kick.
Arsenal have actually
Help again.
looked like they've moved Williamson forward into midfield with the changes that they've made defensively.
Ruben Moy moving into the heart of their defence alongside Sørensen. G. Good ball inside for Cuthbert. So many waiting for the cross, and it's dealt with initially. G. Kirby. Kirby continues, and she carried the ball behind before it was gathered by Zinsberger.
Again, quick movement and play by Chelsea down that right-hand side, but Arsenal stood firm. And it's good movement, great ball by G, and again from Cuthbert, but just waiting to see where she was going to put that ball, and it defended well in the end by Arsenal.
And it was Sørensen who just stretched out a long leg to prevent the ball heading into a dangerous area. Millie Bright replaced by Jessie Fleming, and the plan B.
She's brought a shopping list on.
Is now coming onto the field. And they usually
That's a lot of
shove that
responsibility.
down their socks now, don't they? So the opposition don't get to see
Yeah,
it.
it's a lot of responsibility, that, running on and telling everybody what they're doing.
But whatever happens in the final 3 minutes here, plus added time, it's been an outstanding advert for the women's game around the world.
Absolutely, just nearly caught then. Tried to step beyond the ball, anticipate. And Sørensen.
Little. She's comfortable in that slightly deeper role as well. Chelsea with many more shots towards goal than Arsenal, but Arsenal with twice as many on target. Paris offside.
Paris, she'd gone too early then, hadn't she? By the time Kim that had sent the ball over, she was well offside, but that's the sort of thing that Arsenal need to keep the ball. They need to make sure she stays onside, Paris. Just relieve the pressure on that back line.
The 89th minute, and Chelsea still seeking this equalising goal. G. Kerr makes the move down the centre, then has to check, but it's her header which is kept up by Zinsberger.
Made something out of nothing there, Sam Kerr. There was no real pace on the ball, no fizz on the ball as it came in, and just the technique of her heading who allowed her to get that head on target.
The Emirates Stadium has been to Arsenal's liking today. They are planning to play the North London derby here as well against Tottenham in March. The last time they played here was back in 2013 when Liverpool beat them 4-0 on their way to the WSL title.
Down, turn around.
But it could be a different story here today. These are such big moments in the season, even at this stage for both clubs. The cross is met by Ruben Moy, but only as far as Cuthbert. Williamson is there to hook the ball away. Anderson. Hardare will try and get the loose ball, so too will Fleming, but it's blocked. Williamson again. At times, she'll have felt she's playing Chelsea on her own. Eriksson. G. Good header away by Sørens in the flags up, and that will be some relief to Arsenal.
The commitment to Arsenal defence to just ensure that they get the 3 points today. A long time, six minutes, Nigel.
6 added minutes, plenty of time for Chelsea to find something in this game.
And the action of the crowd there, and that board went up with 6 minutes on. And backs to the wall in terms of defending, but they're defending it well.
I think Emma Hayes was waiting for a bit longer. Paris. And she's got the free kick, caught by Kirby. And that will just help Arsenal manage the clock.
Yeah, for the last 10 minutes or so, they've not really had any sort of respite, Arsenal, from Chelsea attacks. They've just got to be wise in the choices and the decision making. It's difficult when you're tired, it's difficult when it's warm and you've given everything.
Williamson's free kick. Patton and Catley unable to maintain possession. Carter. And Arsenal will continue to just try and wind down the clock here. They have a busy week. Beth Mead with the 2 goals today, the player of the match without any question. She could be the match winner as well.
She had a terrific game. And that's what happens when you get her in front of goal, which Arsenal did on a couple of occasions. She produces goal scoring.
Miedema. Cuthbert back making the challenge, but Miedema working so hard to try and win it back. She'll try and stay there for the next 4 minutes, but Fleming will find Carter. And then the clearance of the forward. Here is Paris. And the cross will pick out Miedema. Can she finish it? No, she can't. G with the block. But Arsenal still have possession. And it's gathered eventually by Berger.
It's a comedy clearance from Berger in a haste to try and start another Chelsea attack, and really put the game to bed there, Arsenal.
Chelsea at home next week. They will play Everton, who lost 4-0 to Manchester City yesterday. Arsenal are playing in Prague against Slavia, 3 goals up in the Champions League on Wednesday before they travel to play Reading next Sunday. Eriksson with a high ball into the penalty area. Ruben Moy just glancing the ball behind for a corner.
Just needed a bit of communication there to Ruben Moy. She thought she was the last player and needed to get something on it, and she probably could have left that, but it would have been a brave defender to do that.
Cuthbert will take the corner. In towards Eriksson. Arsenal can't get the ball away before Manum eventually does. Can Chelsea create one final chance? Carter. Now Kirby. And it's blocked by Paris. Arsenal will try and break Miedema with the early ball to exploit the pace of Paris. Berger outside her penalty area, and she'll be able to gather. Now Kirby once again. Space for Anderson. Brilliant defending again, and as far as Kirby, who tried to lift it and lifted it too high.
And quite a lot of times last season, Chelsea were depending on Fran Kirby and her decision making. You could see exactly what she was trying to do. There were a lot of bodies in front of her. She did good work initially down this left-hand side and cleverly worked again.
Well, you can hear the noise in the Emirates Stadium. The Arsenal crowd have been with their team throughout the 90 minutes. But there are still 90 seconds to play. Hooked clear by Eriksson. And the free kick given for the challenge on G. Everybody forward for Chelsea. And they're wasting their own time here. Carter finding Cuthbert. Long into the area. G. Williamson on the end of it. Miedemar will try and win it back. And that's great play from her. Almost picked out little, but Carter will direct it back towards Berger. Harris with the clearance. 30 seconds of added time to play. Eriksson driven long, looking for Harder, but Williamson just putting the ball into a safer area. But Chelsea still press. Fleming.
It's got to go forward, Nigel.
The referee looks at her watch, and that is it. What a start for Arsenal. A winning start for Jonas Eidevall. And the champions Chelsea are beaten. It's their first defeat away from home for 5 years. And it may only be the opening match of the season, but it could be a pivotal one in the season for both Arsenal and Chelsea. Beth Mead with 2 stunning goals in the second half. She turned out to be the match winner. Vivian Miedemar with the opener. And although Chelsea pushed very hard for the equalising goal following Pernilla Harder's effort, Arsenal held on. Their first victory over Chelsea for 3 years. It is finished at a breathless Emirates Stadium. Arsenal 3, Chelsea 2. So Arsenal winning, Chelsea with more shots, but Arsenal with more efforts on target. It will go down as one of the games of the season. And here are the highlights. And there were so many in the game. Arsenal leading early on. McCabe picking out Miedemar in behind Carter. And she was able to check back and pick out that near post.
Yeah, it was a great start from Arsenal, and when they have to rely on someone, it usually is Viv Miedemar. Terrific play on that left-hand side. It's a great finish as well through the legs of Carter.
But Chelsea were level just before half-time. The short corner routine eventually falling to Millie Bright. Her shot was deflected, but Leopolds with the presence of mind to find Erin Cuthbert, and it was 1-1.
Another calm finish by Cuthbert, and they probably deserved that at that stage. Chelsea, they wrestled themselves back into the game and put a lot of pressure on Arsenal.
But the game turned in Arsenal's favour once again early in the second half. Miedemar gathering the ball, picking out Beth Mead, who had so much to do in between Bright and Eriksson. And and she did it superbly.
And just the pace of Beth Mead was so difficult to deal with. Eriksson couldn't cope with it, and it's just a ball through the middle, but it's just the quality goal scorer in her that puts the ball in that side netting.
And Miedemar involved again in Arsenal's third goal. Iwabuchi finding Mead, possibly offside, but very coolly done.
And again, you could argue about the offside, VAR, but I think all Beth Mead could do there was finish as well as she could do.
Mead with an outstanding finish to make it 3-1. But Chelsea were very quickly back in the game themselves. Beattie with the initial challenge, but the cross from Cuthbert dispatched by Harder. That made it 3-2, but Arsenal held on for a memorable victory, and the champions make a losing start. And the moment of the match brought to you by AtaFootball. For more premium European women's football content, visit atafootball.com. And it's that wonderful goal from Beth Mead. And Jonas Ildeval can celebrate an outstanding victory. But for Chelsea, there is much to ponder in the early weeks of the season. It has been a great game. Arsenal victorious. Hope you enjoyed it. From the Emirates Stadium, it's goodbye.